You know that dream where you're back in school, unprepared for an exam you didn't know existed? Or the one where you're falling and you suddenly wake up right before you hit the ground? We've all had these strange, vivid dreams, and when you wake up, you can describe them. The person who got away, the house you grew up in, the monster chasing you. You can put words to it. But then you look at your dog, asleep on the floor, legs twitching, little whimpers escaping, and you wonder, what's going on in there? Is she chasing something? Scared? Does she even know she's dreaming? For a long time, the answer was simple. We couldn't know. But over the last few decades, science has started cracking open this hidden world. And what we found is staggering. Animals don't just sleep, they relive their days, rehearse their songs, hunt invisible prey in the dark. And some might be doing something a lot closer to what you and I do every night. So here's the real question. Not just do animals dream, but what do they dream about? Let's start with the basics. When you dream, your brain is wide awake. Electrical patterns look almost identical to when you're walking, talking, thinking. But your body is paralyzed by a tiny switch in your brainstem known as the pons, which shuts down your muscles so you don't act out your dream. And that exact same combination of waking brain and frozen body shows up all over the animal kingdom. Every mammal studied enters this REM state. REM stands for rapid eye movement, the stage where dreaming happens. So do birds. And here's where it gets wild. Even animals that split from us over 500 million years ago, cuttlefish, jumping spiders, show REM-like states. The first real proof came from rats. In 2001, neuroscientist Matthew Wilson implanted tiny electrodes into the hippocampus, the brain's engine room for memory and navigation. He recorded rats running a maze, mapping exactly which brain cells fired and in what order. Then the rats fell asleep. The moment they drifted off, those same cells fired again. Same order, same sequence. Just by reading the brain activity, researchers could tell which part of the maze the rat was visiting in its mind, which turn it was taking, whether it was running or still. They weren't reading minds, but they could tell you the exact tape the sleeping brain was rerunning. And that was the proof. An animal's brain isn't just resting during sleep, it's actively rewriting its life. But if rats gave us the proof, cats gave us the picture. In the 1960s, French neuroscientist Michel Jouvet identified the part of the brainstem that paralyzes muscles during REM sleep. He disabled it in a group of cats. The cats fell asleep, but instead of staying still, they got up. Their brains were deep in REM. Every measurement confirmed it. But their bodies were free. Those liberated bodies began to stalk and crouch low, pouncing at things that weren't there, hissing at invisible threats, and swiping at prey that existed only inside their heads. Jouvet had accidentally removed the wall between dream and world. And on the other side, every cat was hunting. So when your cat's paws flex while she sleeps, or her ears swivel toward a sound that isn't there, she's mid-hunt, and she has no idea. Now let's talk about your dog. Dogs spend about 12% of their sleep in REM. Those paddling legs, soft tail twitches, muffled barks, they aren't random. They're replaying the highlights of their day. The morning walk, the dog they met at the park, the squirrel that got away. And because dreams sort through what mattered most, sleep researchers point to something moving. Your dog is almost certainly dreaming about you. Your face, your voice, the sound of your steps at the door. To a dog, you are the center of their universe. So when their sleeping mind looks back at the day, you are always the main character. But this offline rehearsal isn't just for mammals. It gets stranger with birds. Zebra finches are small, bright-beaked songbirds that aren't born knowing their tune. They spend months listening to their fathers, memorizing each note, practicing obsessively until it matches perfectly. Researchers map the exact neural signature of a finch singing during the day, which neurons fired, in what order. Then they watch the bird sleep. The same neurons fired again. Note for note, the bird ran through its song in silence while unconscious. And overnight, the song actually improved. The bird was getting better at something without ever opening its eyes. If a bird can rehearse a song in its sleep, what happens when we look at animals with brains built completely differently from ours? Octopuses have no spine, and their nervous system is distributed across their entire body. They actually have more neurons in their arms than in their central brain. They are, in almost every way, a completely different solution to being alive. When they sleep, their skin erupts with color shifts, texture changes, and camouflage patterns. These are the same hunting displays they produce when engaging in a real fight. All these actions start to appear in the dark while the octopus lies still. One octopus filmed in a lab thrashed its arms, cycled through full-intensity color changes, and released a cloud of ink, acting like it was fighting something only it could see. Cuttlefish, which are squid-like creatures that repaint their skin in milliseconds, show the same phenomenon, their skin flashing hunting signals and warning patterns, and their whole body reacting to an environment that does not exist. Researcher Teresa Iglesias described it as the skin putting on a show for no audience at all. They're not alone. Jumping spiders are quick hunters that stalk prey using their eyes. Unlike most spiders, they look around by moving their retinas on internal tubes. When researcher Daniela Rosler filmed juvenile jumping spiders through their translucent bodies during sleep, she watched those tubes shift in rhythmic bursts every 17 minutes. Retinas scanned, legs curled, and spinnerets twitched. These were the exact movements of a spider actively tracking prey. Even with a brain the size of a poppy seed and a body no larger than a fingernail, these tiny creatures execute what appears to be a visual hunt in total darkness. This is a world they discovered entirely on their own, evolving a path to this experience completely independent of our own. Not every animal gets this. African elephants sleep only about 2 hours a night and spend most of it standing, lying down, which is when full muscle paralysis becomes possible. Happens only every 3 or 4 days. Dolphins can't fully sleep at all because breathing is conscious for them, so they rest one brain hemisphere at a time. A pilot whale was once observed in what appeared to be true REM sleep for 6 minutes. For an animal whose entire existence makes that almost impossible. And then there's the animal that brought the whole thing somewhere science wasn't ready for. A silverback gorilla named Michael was captured from the wild as an infant after poachers killed his family in front of him. He spent the rest of his life in captivity, where he learned American Sign Language. And throughout his adult life, Michael would sometimes wake from sleep visibly distressed and immediately sign the same thing, over and over. He would sign that bad people killed the other gorillas. While many scientists say we should be careful about this because there was no official study, it is still a powerful story that people often argue about. Even though we cannot call this absolute proof, it makes us think about what animals experience. An expert named Donald Griffin watched scientists ignore stories like this for a long time. He believed that some people want to deny that animals have their own thoughts and feelings because accepting it makes them feel uncomfortable. If animals can have their own private worlds where they practice songs or have nightmares about scary things that happen to them, then the way we treat them becomes much more important. So it's clear that animals dream, but we'll likely never know what it actually feels like from the inside. And that's probably fine, because think about your own dreams. You wake up, and even if the details fade, you still know it happened. You don't need a lab to prove it. You just trust it because you've felt it yourself. So the next time you see your dog twitching on the couch or your cat's paws flexing against the floor, you don't need to wonder what's going on in there. She's not just resting. She's somewhere else, reliving a moment, chasing a memory, living a life entirely her own. And maybe that's enough, just knowing they dream and letting them. If this video made you look at your pet differently, consider liking and subscribing. It helps more people discover these hidden stories, and I'm genuinely curious, what do you think your dog or cat dreams about? Drop it in the comments. The funniest, strangest, or most heartfelt theories might just inspire our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and give your pet an extra scratch behind the ears from us.